This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Welcome in, Ballsville gamers, to another episode of the Ballsville podcast. I am your host, Scott Fitzgerald. You can find me at Run the Hurry Up on Sleeper. And this episode is brought to you by the BallsvilleGame.com, where our games combine fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. Welcome in, gamers. We had a great weekend of an NFL draft. I know everybody was probably tuned in, probably doing some rookie drafts. Just to let you guys know, I have a little technical difficulty on my end, so Sean will be running the chat room today. I will try to get this taken care of next week, before next week's pod. So, yeah, we have a big show. We're going to finish up one of our drafts that we did earlier in the year, where we drafted like a half of a team, and then we were going to come back and draft of vets, and then we were going to come back and do a 2-round rookie mock. A post NFL draft, so we're going to do that today. We have a nice slate of trades that we're going to talk about, and then we're just basically just going to talk about the draft, because everybody wants to know what everybody thinks of landing spots, players going over players, maybe some guys sliding, maybe some guys going early. So we got a lot to talk about today, and we are going to give away, like we always do, something for free to you gamers at the end of the pod. We will figure out what we want to do then. You'll have to put in, what's the word, Sean? Is it?
We're going to go with big game today.
Oh, well, then you know what it is. We're giving away a free big game entry, $7 entry into our big game, which is going to launch sometime over the weekend. But I will get into that after I do my panel introductions. And my co-host, he is Bill's Mafia. He goes by a new name called Trader Clem on Sleeper. Fits him perfectly. He is Sean. What's up, Sean?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
And I want to bring in my big brother from Florida. He goes by Jimbo's Bimbos. Big time Raider fan. Love talking to the guy. Jimbo's Bimbos. What's up, Jimmy?
Oh, just hanging out, man. Just been doing drafts and working on the house while I'm off of work, and supposed to get released hopefully later on in May, hopefully towards the end of May, to go back to work. I hope that's what we're praying for.
Yep. If everyone didn't know, Jimmy was in a pretty bad motorcycle accident. That was not his fault, and he's banged up pretty bad. But he's a survivor. He'll push through it. He's got a lot of support, not only at home with his wife Lisa, but the Ballsville community. We're pulling for you, Jimmy.
Appreciate it. Getting better every day. All
righty. All right. Well, let's get cracking. Before we get into the to run this draft, I just got a few things to go over. I did talk about the big game, so it's getting prepped right now. Alex is doing a good job prepping it. Start looking for it in the hubs, and also on the website for the big game to come out. Click on the banner, and then you'll be able to get in there and join the leagues. So that definitely look for that this weekend. As far as like the scoreboard and where we're at with all our leagues, we had 29 dinos kick off their rookie drafts on, I think it was Saturday night, and 11 are done. So we've been pretty efficient, and these are no timers, folks. So I mean, people are ready to draft. So that was definitely pretty impressive. As far as the triathlon that we launched, 3 of the triathlon gods are completely full. Dates are already set to draft. I want to thank everyone for getting in there and being punctual when it came to paying, and really getting into those leagues. We just launched 3 more gods. The one is half full, which is Osiris, and Aries and Mars are, I think there's 3 players in each one. So we're hoping to get those filled hopefully by the end of the month, and we can get dates set for those. And then I want to give a shout out, because we think that the triathlon is really going to be good for our brand, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So what we decided to do was we're hoping to get 12 gods completely full. So three Egyptians, 3 Romans, and 3 Greeks. So if we can get all of them full, that would be 12 rounds. And
4, stop. It's four gods for each realm.
4 gods for each round. Thank you, Sean. If a player gets in all the games, we're going to give them a super prize. So if we have multiple people, then we got something in the works that we might put together for you guys. So you have to wait and find out. So I want to give a shout out to 2 individuals that have joined every triathlon league, and it's Todd Barber, TB76. Thank you so much, Todd, for your support. And Ben Lopez, he goes by the Beninators. I want to thank you too, Ben, for getting in all the leagues. Thank you for the support. So as we build these leagues, and the more people that get in all of them, you'll be put off to the side, and you'll be entered into a free prize, or maybe a free game for all you at the same time. I don't know what we figured out yet, but it's going to be a super prize. So like I said, thank you again for the support, and definitely get in those triathlon leagues. They're going to be a lot of fun, guys. So that wraps up all the news for us. And now we are going to talk about the draft that we're getting into. So go ahead, Sean, if you want to bring that up, that'd be great. Did we launch it already?
We haven't launched the actual draft yet, but we do have the draft board from previous setup.
So if you look, those are all the teams that are in this draft. That was the vet draft that we did. It was a shallow roster. So, and then right now we're doing a 2-round rookie. So we do have half the people that are in here. The other half weren't able to make it. So if anybody in chat wants to maybe do a pick for a team, just go ahead, since it's only going to be 2 players one for each round. If anybody wants to volunteer, when it gets to somebody that we think is not there, we can ask if anybody wants to make a pick for the next 2 picks.
Absolutely, yeah. And you guys can just post it in the chat if you want, and I can name off your pick, and we can go ahead and throw that player in there for you.
Okay, so right now, you want me to start the draft?
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that.
Yep.
I can do it right here, actually.
Yep. Go ahead and start it, and I guess C-Bomb's on the clock. So
guys, if C-Bomb does not show up here in the 2 minutes here, who would you guys like us to select in the 1.1? I'm pretty sure we know who it's going to be, but let's get your guys' opinions while we got 2 minutes to spare.
Who's in the chat today, Sean?
Right now, so far, we've got Zoobs, Crash Davis, Jenny B, Cyborg, some of our regulars in here. Love to see you guys. Brady Decker back again. Jerry Bagshaw, always in the chat. Love to see Jerry again. Grinder Omega, Steve, just playing Steve, hanging out, kicking it. Franny, just kicking it with us. Francis, we all know Francis, our Butter's best friend over here. Quite a few regulars in here, man. We got a nice, good crowd. Awesome. HTX Ethan's in here too. Can't forget Ethan. He's one of our regulars. So we've got a good crowd, and then of course, El Presidente is in here, just throwing out a nice little high with a nice bald photo.
Nice. So
gotta love that beautiful face shot.
So I mean, if C-Bomb doesn't pick, and whoever wants to pick, I mean, I think it's pretty consensus, and I'm sure we can all agree. No matter.
Yeah, Jerry says Janty for C-Bomb, so I think that's where most everybody is.
Yeah, I think I think that this is pretty automatic here, which is actually kind of unusual, because usually in Superflex drafts, usually the quarterback goes 101. There's always a stud quarterback that comes out that everyone's all over, but this year there really isn't. So I mean, I guess you could say, I mean, if you were absolutely dying at quarterback, you could take Cam Ward, but I mean, at that point, you probably would just take Janty and then trade him for a quarterback at that point.
Well, what's he got for quarterback? He's got what, Bo Nix and Goff? Yeah.
So if we're using these rosters, obviously people are going to probably pick according to what their roster build looks like. Like I said, they are shallow rosters, so You can't. It's not like you're really gonna use a lot of these people.
Yeah,
Especially
Steve's saying too. He's only got two two running backs in the startup, so he's definitely got a need for an RB there too. So
Right.
makes
Wow.
sense. Oh, look at Steb jumping in there and taking Cam Ward at the 1.2. To
Yeah.
me, I think that Cam Ward or one other player are really the only two to consider in that spot, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Steb kind of like stabbed me in the back right there because even though I don't need him, I would go quarterback. I was hoping Cam Ward would slide to me because I think that's the way I'd want to go. So I'm gonna just take the. I mean, actually, it's a little close for me, but between two guys, but I'm just gonna take the obvious choice. In my opinion, it's Marion Hampton going to Jim Harbaugh, who's just gonna run the ball like crazy. So that I think that's a pretty much a no brainer there. Oh, Jay Moore's in the room, so he'll be picking.
Steve says that he took Carr in the startup. He says what a difference a day makes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, there's Travis Hunter. So
see, that's what I would have taken if he was on the board with a gleeful pick right there. So good move on Jay Morris's part to not let that happen.
So Jimmy, I know you've been pretty involved in a lot of the dynasty rookie drafts. Let's say, what percentage do you think between like Tet and Travis Hunter, as far as like who's going, before one or the other one? Is it like 60% Tet, 40% Hunter, or is it 50-50, or is it leaning another way?
I would say Tet over Hunter in most of them, but not by maybe one or two.
I think it started that way, but it's shifting to the opposite direction.
Conference that they came out with, that Jacksonville kind of stated, that they're going to start him out at wide receiver. I think that kind of gave everybody a little bit of a, good feeling about that they're not going to start him as a DB. So,
yeah, no, I agree. We'll give Sean a little bit.
We get Brady over here saying you've been drafted both Dart ahead of both of them.
I've been drafting who?
It says you've been drafted Dart ahead of both of them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it does all depend on your build. Obviously, some people like taking best player available. Some people want to, look for a hole in their build and try to improve from there. So I guess it all, some people are rebuilding. Some people are, contenders. It all depends what your build looks like and where you're at in your dynasty league.
It's kind of hard for me too, because I do a lot of DV leagues. So I kind of like certain players because I kind of watched them come up and I've watched them a lot. So sometimes I go for the diamond in the rough that nobody's really going for sometimes.
Okay. So there goes Tet after Clem took Travion, and I like Travion over Junkins. I mean, I like Travion's spot. I think
I like him over McMillan too, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually think he's a better prospect than both of them. He's definitely a true 3-down back. He can catch the ball. So, what about you, Jimmy? Do you like Trevion or do you like Quinchon?
Trevion.
Yeah.
Like if you draft Hunter before Ted, please play in my leagues.
Wow. Yeah, that's Ethan, whose emoji or I guess his picture in Sleeper is Tet's head. So we know what a big fan he is of Tet. All right.
Yeah, he can have himself some Ted over Hunter. I'll be happy as hell to take Hunter if he lets him fall to me.
Yeah.
So, no problem there.
I think for Zoobs, this is a pretty easy pick for him. We'll see if he pulls the trigger.
You think there's Junkins is an easy pick for him?
I mean, it's I mean, I'm just looking at his build, what he has. I mean, I can't see the his whole team, but
I think Henderson, definitely landed in a lot better spot.
How did he get Nico down here in his extra flex role? What happened there? You know what I'm saying? Like, where did that come from?
I think he drafted. Yeah, I don't know what how he got him there, but yeah, I don't know how I got Trey Benson in one of my flex spots. I don't. You tell me there was no better players than Trey Benson. I'd have to go back and look at the draft.
Yeah, we'd be interested to see what the draft board looked like before this, previous draft board, which we could pull up and look at it again if we wanted to after we're done here.
Yeah, I don't know how Trey Benson made it into my flex.
So the dealer's back. It doesn't look like he's in the room.
No, I wouldn't expect
Dealer
Dealer
give us
to
some
be there.
potential for this guy.
So let's look at Dealer's build, and we might be able to go from there. Okay, so he's got two good tight ends. He's got Kincaid and Pitts. He's got Pickens, Waddle, Hill. So he's got some older receivers, or at least one old receiver. He's got his quarterback. He's pretty solid up and down. I guess maybe receiver.
I mean, if I'm looking at his team right now,
what was that comment? I saw my name.
He says with how Scott drafts, there's 6 quarterbacks on his bench.
You are damn straight. If we had large rosters, I'd be putting together an arms race build.
Yeah, I think I'm taking a receiver for him if I'm in his boat.
Yeah,
he does have Kincaid and Pitts, both a couple of guys that have underperformed. You could see him maybe taking a Tyler Warren potentially. I think in a non-TEP, I wouldn't consider them until either of the tight ends until this area. Potentially.
Right, so what are we looking at for him then? Is it like Golden?
Steve says Egbuka.
Egbuka.
That's what Steve's calling out in the chat. Should we go with Steve's pick since he's in the draft though too, so maybe he's calling that so that he gets a better pick.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can trust that one. We got Brady in here asking for Golden.
All
so
right, go ahead. Just tell the people in chat. Go ahead and put who they think, and we'll take the leader.
Well, that's what we got so far is those two. So we got 1 vote for each of them.
So we had Golden and who?
Golden and Egbuka.
All right. Anybody want to break the tie?
Egbuka is like a punt piece where he is in punting.
I think Dealer would take.
Ethan just threw up Golden, and then Zoobs came back and tied it up with Egbuka.
Yeah, but Zoobs is he's in the draft. He doesn't count.
Okay, so should we go with Ethan's pick then?
Let's go with Double E.
Double E, all right.
All right, Ken. All right, now short stack. Let's see where he's going. I like Double E long term. Obviously, they're gonna. Mike Evans probably got one more year.
If I'm him, I know where I'm going right here, but that's based on his build more than anything else. But I think I'd take one of these TEs if I'm in his boat.
Who, Ken?
No, short stack.
Oh, short stack.
Clock.
Oh,
yeah, short stack is in there.
Yeah, I think this is where one of them comes off the board if I'm in his boat. Whichever one I like better.
He's got a pretty old running back.
Yeah, and he's got Jonathan Brooks who's not playing, so I didn't see that until just then. So that doesn't make
short stack.
Doesn't make it bad at all for that K Johnson.
Short stack took Caleb Johnson, and I really like that pick. People might think it's very aggressive, but he fits that scheme in Pittsburgh perfectly. Oh, and there goes another.
You want to talk about an aggressive pick?
I just got sniped.
Jimbo got sniped. Did you get sniped, Jimmy?
Alex, damn it, man.
And you guys are both going hard on RJ Harvey, huh?
Well, all right. I'm going to go ahead and
He won't like anybody that's in his division because he knows more about him.
Oh, shit. Sean, this
yes, sir.
I think this is this has got to be a snake draft.
No, he set it up to do.
This is a standard rookie draft. Why would we have a snake draft?
Yeah, because see, when he did this, he wanted to mock it like it was going to be.
Oh, like it was a.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't. He didn't want to mock it like it was a new dynasty league.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, mock it like for.
Scott, you serious? You're trying to take your pick and go from 2-3 to 2-7 with it? Come on, bro. Don't do that to yourself.
No, that's okay.
Stick with 2-3, brother. You like that better.
I like 2. Yeah, 2-3 would be nice. I was just trying to give Jimbo the early pick.
All right. So TB's on the clock right now. What do we think he's going to go with? He's got Allen, Lawrence, Mixon, Warren, Spears, Leggett, Brown, Ayuk, Wilson, Laporta.
I like the Caleb Johnson. I like the Jaden Higgins pick. Very aggressive, but I like those 2 picks.
That's the first time I've seen Higgins go into the first round.
Oh no, I've been
Jumping
seeing
in first,
rookie drafts going like at 6, 7.
Not in the leagues I've been in.
I like it. I like it's I think people think he's not in a good spot. He's in a great spot.
I don't think he's in a bad spot at all.
I think he's in a great spot.
There goes the first tight end off the board.
All right. Ty Warren's off
And there
the
goes the
board.
second one. Connor just jumping on that.
God.
C-Bomb
it is
showed
in there
up.
now.
Yeah.
Did he snipe you, Scott? Was that your guy?
I don't need a tight end. I really don't. But I got Kelsey. I guess I could use another tight end. But yeah, Colston Loveland, to me, I think he's back of the first round talent.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded him falling to me too.
I got him over Warren. I just think that in that system, he's a better prospect than Sam Laporta, and Ben Johnson is just gonna, use him in a lot of different ways. If people try to, put a linebacker on him, good luck with that. With all those other receivers running around, it's going to open up the middle of the field. He's going to definitely scheme a lot of plays for Colston Loveland. So I love Colston Loveland.
What do you think?
Plus he's a Michigan man.
What do you guys think Steve's going to do?
Let's see here. He's got Olave, Godwin, Adams. Oh, I can see where he's going.
Well, he had to go quarterback, so yeah.
Yeah, I think I know where he's going right here too.
I think I know where he's going. There's 2 guys that I think are worthy of this pick.
You want to talk about him, or you want to wait?
One's a slot guy. One's an X guy.
Ooh, Harris.
He took the X guy. So yeah, I like that pick, Trey Harris.
So what are you going to do now?
Well, it's. I mean, to me, it's.
I think I know what you're going to do.
No, I do too.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I mean, I'm not going to say it's. This guy's definitely should be a first round talent. I know there's a few question marks on him, but where Ben Johnson's going to play him in the slot, he's definitely that's his skill set is in the slot. So why can't I pick?
You want me to do it? Just tell me the guy and I can assign it for you.
Oh, I don't know what happened here, but yeah, I'm taking Luther Burton.
Luther Burden. All right. So that leaves Jay Morris on the clock. So Luther Burden, huh? Over Jackson Dart, your quarterback loving ass took a wide receiver over Jackson Dart.
It's because look at our builds. We're only like a shallow build. We're not really.
That's what she said.
Not like a long-term dynasty team. I don't know if I really trust Jackson Dart that much.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's tough, dude. Like you look at a guy like, okay, so for example, Jay Morris on the clock right now. He's got Bryce Young, Drake May. Are you confident with Bryce Young and Drake May to go into this, even though it's a shallow roster and everything? If you only had like those 2 quarterbacks, would you have taken them at that point?
You know what? I wouldn't. I would stick with Drake May and Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young showed enough at the end of last year. They've just brought him in, Tat McMillan. He should obviously is an upgrade over, pretty much anybody on that roster. I do see the offense ascending a little bit. So
look, he took Dart. See that? I wonder if we talked him into it. Did we talk you into that? You gotta tell us in the chat if we talked you into that pick.
I mean, I'm not killing them for it. I mean, it's
no. I mean, I'm happy with it because it let be a player that I was shocked would even be here for me. So I'm definitely going to take Matthew Golden right now. I feel like it's an absolute obvious, like, have to take at this point in the draft scenario.
Yeah, no, he's definitely the next on my board.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought you were going to take him. I thought Steve would have taken him over Harris and Burden. So the fact that both you guys took other receivers was kind of surprising to me. Not that I think that they're that much worse or anything. I was surprised because I don't think Golden, being the investment that they put in him and being their first first round picks since like 90s. I feel like that's a pretty like solid investment and shows that they're going to make the best that they can out of him. So
yeah, well, the reason why I took Burton is obviously because of playing in the slot in Ben Johnson's offense. If you go back to where he coached, he made Jarvis Landry 100 catch receiver. He made Amon-Ra back-to-back 100 catch receivers out of the slot. So Burton's going to play the slot. He already said that's his spot. Now, so he's going to get peppered with targets. And if he's on a trajectory like Jarvis Landry or something, I could see in, 2 or 3 years if he develops being a 100 catch guy in that offense.
And Jay Morris is saying that we're supposed to draft as if this was a real dino. And I say, yeah, I understand that. And I definitely don't hate your pick of the quarterback. I was referencing more so the two receivers that were taken over another receiver that I thought was a higher rated player. So that was what I was referencing more than the Jackson Dart pick.
No, and
I don't think that was a bad move.
I like the Jackson Dart pick. I just figured I think I would have taken Burton over Dart, and obviously I did. So, but yeah, trust me, it pains me not to take a quarterback.
I know it does. That's going to wake Scott up at night, guys.
Actually, it does pain me because I really thought I was going to get Cam Ward in the 3-hole and stab me in the back.
Oh, it looks like we lost Grim. So should we give it a second here and see if anybody wants to give us a pick here? Who would you guys take? Give us a pick here, guys, in the audience.
Let's see his roster, Sean.
Right now, we're looking at his roster is currently Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Bucky Irvin, Jahmyr Gibbs, Romo at running back, Romo Dunze, Jalen Coker, Drake London, Wandell Robinson, Rashid Shaheed at wide receiver, and at tight end he has TJ Hawkinson. He also drafted Tet McMillan in the first round. So if you guys vote for a receiver here, I'm going to be sorely disappointed in our audience.
I don't know. I'm seeing a guy that I think I would add immediately in this spot.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, but would it be?
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because I know people are going to be like, "Oh, don't be saying players' names," because that's a guy I was hoping slipped to me. But there's one guy I've seen in every draft.
This is our first vote for this pick right here, Scattaboo. That's the first vote for Grim's pick. That's sorry for cussing. So, if anybody else wants to throw a vote up for who we're gonna take here for Grim's team, throw it up because right now we've got Scattaboo as the leading pick here, which I also agree with. I think Scattaboo is the pick right here for him. But
yeah, so this is the range where I was able to get Cam Scattaboo in 2 dynasty drafts. I traded into
Alex is saying Scattaboo, Steve saying Scattaboo. I think it's going to be Scattaboo. We've got a consensus going.
Yeah, it's definitely Cam Scattaboo, and I like the pick. I like the landing spot. I think he's going to be a tandem with Tyrone Tracy, and he's definitely going to be the receiving back out of that backfield. So I like the pick a lot. Kind of reminds me of maybe like a slimmer Mike Allstott kind of thing, just running through people.
He reminds me of a kid that I played football with in high school named Art Goldstrom. And he was like a little bowling ball of a dude, man. And that guy was like the most powerful short package dude I have ever seen, man. I'd see him just knock dudes over that were twice his size. And he never got knocked backwards, no matter how much bigger than him they were. So that's exactly what I see when I watch the way Cam Scattaboo plays the ball.
Okay, now we're getting to a point in the draft where I've seen this one particular player go, and then another position player to go. That they're all kind of in the same range. So, who's picking? Oh, this is Dealer. So
yeah, Dealer's back now, so we're going to be able to make this pick. So, guys, go ahead and start throwing in your bids for who we should take here for Dealer. But Subakis just took Besh, and that's a guy that you've been excited about.
I like Besh a lot. That was my next pick on the board. I love his story. I think it's a great landing spot. They don't have too much at receiver besides Jacoby Myers. I mean, Brock Bowers is the receiving core there. So bringing in a big body back who basically he has the pretty much the best hands in the class. Look it up. He catches everything. So I think
You're
he's
talking
going to be
about best here, right?
Pardon me?
You're talking about best here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Receiver.
So I think he'll be a great target for Geno Smith. So I really like the landing spot. I like the pick. I like the story. I want guys on my team like that.
So we're saying that. So these guys are saying here we got Dealer is back on the clock right now, and he is not here. So we're gonna go ahead and do the auction off his pick again. So let's pause this boy and talk about it for a second. So guys, go ahead and start throwing in. We've got a few Kyle Williams out here already saying that that's who we should take here with this because they're saying he needs a receiver. He has Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, George Pickens as his receiver. So I agree. He definitely needs a receiver on his roster. He's got a Buka who he took in the first round, but I still wouldn't hate another receiver on that roster. He's got McCaffrey and Swift at running back, Mahomes and Murray at quarterback, and Kincaid and Pitts at tight end. So what do you think, guys? You got any opinions on this? So far, Kyle Williams has been the only one voted for.
I think Kyle Williams would be a great pick. I've been getting Kyle Williams in the beginning of the third round, which to me is a steal. I think he should be a middle to end of the second round draft pick. He wasn't talked about too much before the draft, but then the landing spot pretty much solidifies the second round rookie draft pick. I'm a little nervous because it seems like New England's the new place where wide receivers go to die.
That is right. He does have Brees Hall. Thank you, Steve. I'm sorry to mention that. He does have Brees Hall at running back also.
Jimmy, what's your take on – I want to know your take. What's your take on Williams?
Which Williams?
Kyle.
Well, it all depends on how you build your teams and your rosters. But if you're just talking about skill and value, I think he's a good pick. The guy's talented.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I know one thing is he's got quick feet. He's got some vertical speed. Not the biggest guy in the world. He's only 186 pounds. But going to the NFL, it's like going in the military. You're going to automatically put on 10 pounds just by great nutrition, eating, working out. So,
so you take him over Jalen Royal, over Jalen Noel.
I wouldn't take him over Noel, no.
I still would take him over Noel just because Noel's going to be the third option at best in that offense, where Williams, he has a pathway where he could be the number one target in that offense attached to Drake May, who's an ascending quarterback.
They took Noel just like you would take a tackle, offensive tackle. They're filling the need that Dell's not going to be there for. With his speed, 4.3 speed, he's a punt returner, kick returner. The guy had, he had huge numbers. He actually had more passing yards for the year than Higgins.
Oh, we did talk about that off air. So you got some stats.
His numbers are off the chart, and the guy's fast. And if you look at it, I think they did it to fill the need. I think they know they're not getting Dell back, obviously. And so they need, kick returner, and I think that's why they took him.
Well, Kyle Williams has been the consensus in the audience, and who am I to go against the audience's wishes? So we are getting Kyle Williams.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just a crowded space over there. New England swung and missed on so many receivers last year.
That's what makes me nervous about Kyle Williams is.
Yeah, they swung and missed on so many receivers.
And that is our last pick that the audience will be picking. Everybody else is in the room, ready to roll. So we should be able to stroll right on through these last four picks. So we got Short Stack 11 is on the board right now. He takes Tyler Show with the late second. What do you think about that, Scotty? I know you have a very specific opinion about Mr. Show.
Yeah, I don't like Tyler Shaw. I know they traded up for him. Film wasn't too good. Had a bad combine.
I like to call him a not so big show.
So I'm not thrilled about it. The only thing that's a positive I think I could take out of this is he is going to a good coach who's a pretty good who showed he was a very good offensive coordinator. So could he be a system quarterback? Yeah, he could if he develops. But I think I would have I would have taken a different player, just because I like his metrics a little bit better. But we'll see if he gets drafted.
It's on me.
Yeah, it's on you now. Mason Taylor just went.
Alex, I'm gonna kick.
Oh, wow, he sniped
head,
you,
man. Damn it,
Wow.
man.
Alex, you keep sniping Jimmy.
Unbelievable.
Hasn't he been through enough in 2025, Alex?
I
What is
know.
wrong with you, man?
Give this guy
I was all planned on that. I gotta have a tight end, so I'm gonna go there. Just
You realize that's not the tight end in Dallas, right? Just making sure.
Alex took a tight end. He took Taylor.
I'm just teasing you, brother.
I
Everybody be high on this.
I like Ferguson as a tight end. He's going to that Rams offense where McVay does use a move tight end, so I like that pick. I think he's going to be a good tight end. TB76 is the last. This is Mr. Irrelevant.
It's got to be one of those receivers, right?
I think it's going to be. Does he need?
You know what? He needs running back help more, so he might go with the RP.
I think Alex went in and looked at my queue.
He probably did.
He probably did. I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to go running back.
He might have already picked, and we're having this. Here it is. He went running back.
Yep, that was my other.
With LJ Don Blue.
Wow, that's pretty aggressive. I think there's.
You don't like LJ Don Blue? I think LJ Don Blue is a good pick there.
That's a good pick for being at Dallas.
Yeah, I think
I mean, he couldn't have went to a better place. So
I think there might be a couple of dudes I might have taken before him. So, all right, well, that wraps up our 2-round rookie mock. Is there anything that? Let me go to Jimmy. Jimmy, is there one player that you think did not get drafted that should have been drafted in the second round?
Oh, wow.
Just give me one that you're like, man, this guy should have went like in the late second.
He already did. Jalen Noel, right?
Probably. I'm going to go ahead and say. Probably Tootin.
Yeah, Tootin. Yeah.
Only because I know Liam Cohen, what he's trying to do, and I got a feeling that's going to be a committee down there, kind of like what he did with Bucky Irving, and so I think Tootin probably is probably going to be in a pretty good spot.
What about you, Sean? Anybody?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's any specific player that really stands out that needed to go earlier in this draft.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you got to this point, I'd say right about where Betch went off the board, that, you could maybe throw Taylor up into the bottom of that tier with Betch. But other than that, like, I'd say you reach a new tier at that point, and it's a big tier. And there's a good amount of people that you could see going in that range, but it's just like, it's not a big deal if they are or they aren't, because they're all going to be within that, late second to early third range, right? That 10 pick block or whatever you want to call it.
Got you. So I just got a few names I'll throw out there just because I actually like their situation. So I'll throw 3 names out there. I'll throw Dylan Sampson. I know he's the second back.
Do you think you think he would take Ford's place, huh?
I think he would take Ford's place at worst. At
Really?
best, he'd be just a 1-2 punch with Quinshon Judkins. I mean, like I said off air, I think the Browns are showing us, they're tipping their hand. They're showing us what they're going to do next year, and that's run the football. And I can't see Quinshon Judkins getting 300 carries. I think they would run him like they did with Travion, punch with Sampson.
Obviously, your dog does not agree with you.
That wasn't my dog.
That's my dog.
That was Puka. That was Puka.
Yeah, that's Puka.
Luca is not happy with your analysis, Scott.
Another name I'll throw out, and this is just strictly the situation too, is Kendry Miller's been a disaster. Alvin Kamara's, on his last leg. So the Saints did bring in Devin Neal, who's pretty explosive at 5'11", 215. So, he's somebody that could have slipped in. I've seen slip into the late second. And then the elephant in the room, I think Shadir Sanders getting a quarterback late in the second round. It's I don't really think you lose a lot if he busts at that point of the draft. And like I said, if you hit a home run with him.
But in this position here, though, Scott, I think Milroe would have been a better pick because if you look at Darnold's history, he's probably going to be good for the first half of the year, and I bet he falls off.
And I like what I've seen out of Jalen Milroe more than what I've seen out of Sanders.
Yeah, Milroe's going to be. I'll bet you, if they don't even sniff the playoffs, if they're not going to sniff the playoffs, I bet you'll see Milroe in there before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think Milroe is the quarterback.
If he pulls what he did the last few weeks in Minnesota, if he does what he did the last few weeks in Minnesota, if he starts playing that way and they don't have any sight of making the playoffs, I bet you see Milroe.
So my take on Milroe is everyone says he's a physical gifted quarterback who can run the ball, who can score from anywhere on the field. But the one thing they don't say about Jalen Milroe is he an accurate passer? And I don't really see anybody glowing that he's an accurate passer.
I remember a specific quarterback who was talked a lot of crap about not being an accurate passer when he came out, and things seem to be going pretty well right now for good old JA17. You know what I mean?
Yeah, JA17's kind of got it in the head. He's kind of smart, which I don't know what the Wonderlic test was for Jalen Milroe, but I don't think it was probably too great. So I'm just saying it's
Short stack brings up another guy. Everybody said the same thing about Lamar too. Run the ball a lot, can't throw the ball well. Seems to be working out okay. 2 MVPs later.
No, we'll see. I mean, I don't have Melrose that far behind Shadir, but
I just think that rushing upside brings him to a level where even if his passing never becomes anything special, I mean, look at a guy like Justin Fields, right? He's still extremely valuable in fantasy.
Yeah. No,
I throw the ball great.
Yeah, I agree with it. And I think Milroe's going to get some run. I kind of heard that they might throw a few little packages in for him when they get down by the goal line as far as running.
Wildcat the shit out of that guy, man. So, he's a perfect guy to Wildcat right now.
The last glaring memory I have of Jalen Milroe is when he was playing against the wing helmet in the bowl game and he couldn't get the ball in from the 5-yard line on 4 plays, and lost the game. So that kind of told me right there that I'm not going to root for that guy. Can't even get the ball in from the 5-yard line. So, but that's my Michigan take. So, anyways, that's our draft. I hope you guys had fun watching this draft. But we'll get into our next segment. That's my dog. We'll get into our next segment.
Very excited about the next segment. Your dog.
Yeah, I know. I always forget this part of the segment. I know Sean has a cool video for this segment, but I can never remember the name. Sean, can you help me?
Yes, yes, I can, Scott. Actually, why don't I just let the video do the talking?
Trade Talk! Trade Talk! Ballsville is excellent!
That is the greatest video that we've ever produced. It's embedded in my brain right now because now all I think about is Wayne's World when I listen to that. So when I put my head on the pillow tonight, I'm going to be singing Trade Talks. So I want to congratulate and thank Alex for putting that video together and torturing my brain for the next month. So let's get into it. What's our first? 1 billion? So, all right, what's our first trade?
Our first trade is between @Nelly1 and @ChiefsLife13. Yeah, Taysom Hill and Kyron Williams for Justin Fields, a 2026 third and a 2026 first. What say you, L Run the Hurry Up?
Wow. You know what? You know how you know which way I'm going. I mean, if I can always acquire a quarterback in a deal, I'm definitely gonna, my ears kind of perk up, and I'm like definitely going to favor that side. I'm going to give Justin Fields another pass. I think this is going to be the last hurrah for him. If he can't make it work in for the Jetropolitans, I think his career is pretty much over. Getting the first is pretty nice. Tyreek's basically a 1-year rental, and a lot of people are saying bad things about this might be Kyron's last year or he's getting pushed. I do like Kyron Williams, but I slightly lean the field side. What about you, Jimbo?
If Chief is on a partial rebuild, I'd probably take the field side too. I don't know. I just got a bad feeling about Tyreek in Miami right now for some reason. I don't really know why, but I think I would take the Chiefs side if he's any idea of rebuilding or needs the picks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely I'm leaning on the Chiefs side for sure, because the fact that he's getting a quarterback in a super flex and he's getting a 2026 first. I mean, we always kind of assume that we have a good idea on where these firsts are going to land a year ahead of time, but you never know. Injuries could hit, and somebody could go from being a challenger to being one of the last teams in the league. So, yeah, you never know where that first really for sure is going to fall. I don't hate the Tyreek and the Kyron side. It's just, to me, I feel like, I mean, if you look at like Kyron Williams for a 2026 first, I don't think is far off. And then Justin Fields in a third for Tyreek, I think is a big difference. So
the Rams took another good running back too, so in the draft.
So yeah, that's just because I don't, like I said, I don't have 100% confidence that Kyron, like, this would be a type of move that if I'm going for the shooting for the fences and I'm going to make a move like this, I want to get like a Barkley, or somebody that I know for sure is going to come out for at least a year or two and be like a stud no matter what on their team.
I think if it would have been me,
getting guys drafted behind him for next 2 years.
I think if it would have been me in Chiefs position, I would have tried to get another piece outside of that 26th third and got a piece.
I don't think Chiefs Life did bad at all. I'd be happy as heck with that offer from the side that Chiefs Life got. I think if Nelly is the one who's looking to add an extra piece to make things better for his side of the board, that's what I'm looking at.
I mean, in Nelly's defense, and to me, just looking at it a little bit more, it might be where Nelly's like pushing for a championship and he needs
absolutely points. You better be. I mean, otherwise, why are you trading for Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, and his 26 first is going to be late. He's assuming it's going to be late, and he's like pushing for a championship. So he's trying to get a 1-year rental out of Hill and solidify his quarterback room solidify his running back room with Kyrie.
I had several leagues last year where I ran Hill in the super flex, and he's on average scored more points than the quarterback I would have played in the super flex.
Yeah, so
that means you must have some pretty crappy quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. But that's sometimes how I look at like a Jamar Chase or Tyreek Hill at his best. You can always throw him in your super flex and get on average the same points you would for an average quarterback.
I mean, I get what you're saying. It's just, to me, like, a guy at that level is not going to be in my super flex. He's going to be in one of my wide receiver spots. And the guy that goes to that super flex spot is now not going to be able to score nearly what that receiver that I end up having to put there is scoring. So, if you tier him out in the right order, you're not going to have one of those top tier guys in your super flex unless you're one of those crazy people who just happens to have like 5 wide receiver ones on your team.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on.
All right. Next one we have up is one of my trades that was just made today.
Oh, wow.
This is the one between me and Simtropic. This was in the, I believe, Ketchum League was one that this was in, which is one of our dynasty leagues in Ballsville. So we all know Ballsville scoring. It's Simtropic got Anthony Richardson, Javonte Williams in my 2026 first in exchange for Kyler Murray, DeAndre Swift, and his 2026 third. So I'll start with you, Jimbo, since we were second before. What do you think of this deal?
It's definitely on your side with what's going on in Indy, not knowing how they're going to play Richardson for sure. I look for him probably not to start the season, just even if for the way he, walking off the field and stuff. So I definitely take the Murray side. Murray, I think, is kind of got some stability to him now, as far as maturity. I think he's settled down a little bit, and they've put some pieces around him. So I think Swift will do okay, especially now with the new coaching. So I definitely think he won that trade.
Yeah, and for context, so you guys know as well, he does have Daniel Jones. That was the main reason for working a deal, because he wanted to make sure either I had both or he had both, and we ended up going this route. So,
all right, yeah, that's interesting. I'm kind of hearing a few little rumblings that Daniel, I suck at football Jones, could actually win that job out of training camp. So,
I definitely think he's going to start.
Yeah, so that's definitely interesting.
There's quite a few people in the chat that are leaning towards Sim's side too. It's not looking like it's 100% I killed it in this deal or anything. So there's people that are leaning that route.
But I do lean to you, Sean, because I always look at a trade and say, okay, who's the best player in the deal? And the best player in the deal is Kyler Murray. The big winner in this trade, though, is DeAndre Swift, because the Bears did not draft a legit, like a quality running back.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, they didn't draft anybody in the top 4 rounds for running back. So, I mean, anything.
No, he actually ended up being a 7th round pick.
Yeah. So, I mean, 7th round picks are just, they're guys coming off the street, basically. So, DeAndre Swift to me wins. In that Ben Johnson offense, he's going to probably play the Gibbs role, and Roschon's going to play the Montgomery role. If a rookie comes up, later on in the season or during the season, so be it. But right now they're going with that. So that's a little boost for you Trader Clem. So I'm leaning your side just a little bit, because I think you got the best play in the deal. And DeAndre Swift, was easily, scathed from any kind of competition coming in for his position. So, and I'm sure your 26 first is probably going to be late.
I'm hoping. I mean, of course, I'm not trading for DeAndre Swift unless I'm going to be competitive this year. That's a player that I'm not going to have in any deal unless that's the case. So,
right. Javonte is actually going to get pushed by Jaden Blue. I mean, we saw in the people are high on Jaden Blue. We just saw in the rookie draft he went at the end of the 2nd round. So he may get some steam throughout the year, throughout the training camp. And if he's splitting carries with Javonte Williams and eventually taking over that job, then Javonte Williams is pretty much dust.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's move on to the next deal, shall we?
Yes, sir.
The next one we have is Zach Wilson fan 5, one of our regulars. He gets Xavier Worthy and Tyrone Tracy in exchange for DTs getting T. Higgins. What do you guys think about this one? We'll start with you, Scotty.
I think it's really pretty even. I know everyone's freaking out because the Giants drafted Cam Scatterboo, but they do like Tracy there. I think it'll be like the Thunder and Lightning in that offense. So Tracy does still have value. Xavier Worthy should still continue to get his looks, his touches. But then T. Higgins, he just signed the contract with Cincy. He's tied to Burrow now. Me in a vacuum, I'm just yet again, I'm going to look at who the best players in the deal, and a lot of people are big on Xavier Worthy, but I still think T. Higgins is the best player in the trade. So I'm gonna take the Higgins side.
I always kind of look at these types of trades where you might think, Worthy impressed me last year. Obviously, without Rice, I get it. But I kind of look at these trades like, if I'm going to play both of these players in my lineup, I look at total points I'm going to get out of the week. So, in other words, I think combination between Worthy and Tracy, I'm going to get more points scored than I would if I just had Higgins. So, being 2 starters, the bonus 50-yard plays you're going to get out of Worthy, The touchdowns, I just think that Tracy's gonna, score probably a little bit more than what Higgins would. So I'm combining the points. I would take the Worthy side.
Yeah. I mean, it is really close. Like I said, I always go for the best player in the deal.
I'm definitely leaning more towards the Higgins side, but I think it's really, really close. Like this is
I think it's an even trade. That's a great trade.
Yeah, this is a pretty fair deal, and I wouldn't be surprised if Zach Wilson fan was needing a running back, and I think this kind of fits the type of like win-win trade option that you can find out there. The type of trade that I like to call the baby bear trade. Not too hot, not too cold, but just right.
Yeah, that's probably one of the better trades that we've seen. It's not a lot of moving pieces, just a 2-for-1, helps out both teams, and so yeah, it's a pretty fair trade.
Absolutely. And then we have our trade of the week that we have some amazing graphics for. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So what we are looking at here, guys, this is a nice little graphic that was put together by El Presidente, Alex. Thank you so much for your cool little graphic here. And what the trade is Devon Achane for the 108 and the 203, which became Travis Hunter and Jackson Dart. So let's put aside the fact that he got steals of a steal with the picks that he got where he got them. So let's put that all aside of the players as far as that's concerned, because that makes this trade even more lopsided looking if you consider the two players that he ended up being able to pull. But just look at the picks that were made prior to the trade, the actual 108 and the 203 for Devon Achane. What do you think of that, Scott? And then you have an opportunity to kind of look at their rosters a little bit on either side of the board there to get an idea on where they moved to and from.
All right, so let me try to make sure I'm reading this correctly. So it was let's see. So it was the 108.
It's the 108, the 203 for Devon Achane.
Oh, okay. So two picks for one guy.
Yes.
Okay, so 108 and 203. Okay, so everybody knows I'm not the biggest Devon Achane fan. So if I'm looking at this draft, if I'm looking at the picks, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what can I get at the 108? Okay, I could probably get a Caleb Johnson, who I'm pretty high on.
Well, they ended up getting Travis Hunter, which I think is a steal and a half.
Right. Which is, I'm just saying before the draft, I'm thinking, okay,
yeah.
Okay, I can get Caleb Johnson. I could get, possibly Quinshon Junkins. Maybe he could fall there. Now, at the 203, if I need a tight end, I'm looking at Colston Loveland. Maybe looking at one of those receivers that we talked about in the draft. So if I can land a running back and a receiver like a Luther Burton and a Caleb Johnson, I'm making that deal all day, every day. But actually, it got better because you got Travis Hunter and you ended up getting a quarterback. If you needed the quarterback, you got one. So the Jackson Dart pick, I probably, would have went in a different direction depending on my build at that point. And it looks like he had
his build right here.
Yeah. So he had Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Watson, Winston, Dart. So yeah, I would have taken Dart just because of the build. I'd want to secure my quarterback room a little bit more. So yeah, tremendous job, Brady, on that deal. You got pretty much, I think, the maximum you can get with Devon Achane. What do you think, Jimmy?
Well, I would have probably taken the picks too for that trade, just out of pure two players with one. I probably would have wanted a little bit more for Achane up front, but the way the trade turned out, he got so lucky. Because realistically, I think Winston's going to actually be the long-term backup, and Wilson will be gone. So I think he gets, the handcuff long-term. And Hunter's just going to outscore Achane on probably any given week.
I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see what that league did as far as
that's.
I want to know who went before Travis Hunter.
I know. I'd like to see those 7 players that went. I could see the 2 or 3 at least, right? Like the ones we talked about. But then what about those 3 or 4 other players that went off the board that were like, what?
What is that other quarterback down at the bottom? I can't see it because the X. Is that
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones, yeah. He got extremely lucky.
So I'm thinking it was Genty, Hampton, Henderson, Junkins. That's 4.
Yeah.
Cam Ward would be 5.
Well, he wasn't needing a running back, so
Cam Ward would have been 5. Tet would have been 6. So it had to be one of the tight ends, probably Warren.
yeah, he made out well.
Unless somebody took Egbuka before him, but I doubt it. Who would take Egbuka before Travis Hunter? It had to be a different. It couldn't have been It had to either be a tight end or another running back. It was probably had to be had to be a tight end then, because the only other running back I see, I don't see anybody else.
Yeah, it's got to be Warren. It's probably Warren or Loveland.
Warren or Loveland.
Yeah.
It would have been a receiver. It's not going to be a quarterback. It's not going to be a running back. So it had to be one of the tight ends. So that's very interesting. It
was a nice trade.
Yeah. Do we have more?
Nope, that is the final trade, the trade of the week.
Trade of the week. Okay. All right. Well, anybody that gets those trades in, yeah, that's we'll try to break those down. I know I didn't mention, please like and subscribe to the podcast. It really helps out. Also, please check out the ballsvillegame.com for all your fantasy needs. All the leagues are getting put on there as we speak. So definitely look out for the big games and rolling out this weekend, and the triathlon leagues. So I want to run over.
Here you go, guys. Oh. Genty, Ward, Tet, Hampton, Henderson, Egbuka, and Judkins.
Genty, Ward, Tet, Hampton, Henderson, and Egbuka. Oh, so Egbuka.
Those are the ones that went off the board ahead of him.
Wow. I don't think I would do that. Dude,
Tet and Egbuka. He went off the board as the 3rd receiver.
Wow, man.
I know. A player that was traded up from 5 to 2 to get, giving up a future first rounder to get, and he's dropping all the way behind two other receivers that were taken like far later in the NFL in the first round. That's crazy.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the draft. So while we're on the subject of receivers, I want to talk about Travis Hunter. And like Jimbo said earlier, it's kind of been 50-50, 60-40 on where these guys are going, who's getting drafted before. And I know a lot of people, and I've said this in the pod, I think a couple pods before, I'd be a little nervous at the top of the draft, drafting a guy that you don't know if you're going to get. I mean, what are you going to get from him? 5 touches a game? I mean, especially if he plays cornerback. But the more I dug into it, the more I thought to myself, okay, could he do this for the first couple of years, play both sides of the ball? Yes. When it comes to contract time, which position are you going to make more money? Now, if he tries to talk Jacksonville into giving him a unicorn salary because he can play both positions, good luck with
that. Depends on if Dion is his agent.
Right. Who's his agent? How are they going to work this out? Or if he really wants to make some serious money, he could just say, look, if I want to cash in, I got to be a receiver. Receivers make more than cornerbacks. And if he goes out his first couple years and does really, really well, I mean, he could ask for some big time money. So am I scared off by him? Actually, you know what? I'm not now, because I think eventually he's going to come to his senses and be like, look, if I want to get paid in this league, I need to be strictly a wide receiver. And the more tape I've watched of him, he looks like he could be in that Antonio Brown mold. So I really like that a lot. Plus, I like the way he came out, man. These guys that come out of the draft, like Cam Ward, him, they just look nice, a nice, good suit, not a lot of jewelry, not look at me. It's all business. And I like that. So I'm getting bullish.
You just don't like big flashy jewelry. Come on.
I mean, I really don't like a lot of like fancy jewelry or anything like that, but I just don't like that stuff. So Jimbo, what do you think?
His diamond encrusted wedding ring.
I think with the way the draft timing, the rookie drafts for people in their leagues, how how they all kind of started after the draft. I think the press conferences and I think the interviews with Liam Cohen kind of put a lot of people at ease that he's going to primarily start out for a while at wide receiver. And then it really started at the draft with them trading all the way up to number 2. I was talking to Sean earlier. I really thought they were going up for Jenny. That's what I thought they were doing. For them to, if you look at the history, I haven't seen too many people trade up to a number 2 to get a DB. So, I mean, that they drafted him in quarterback range. So, you know, and with Liam Cohen being an offensive coach, I think it just gave a lot of people the ease that they really didn't have any other good wide receivers. And so I would be comfortable drafting him now as a wide receiver. Absolutely.
What about you, Sean?
Oh yeah, no, I'm absolutely on board with him. I take him over Tet. I take him in the top 3 if I'm drafting at this point. To be honest, he's right there behind Janty with Ward. Those 2 guys after Janty is where I've got it. And you know, depending on my situation, is I'm taking Ward or I'm taking him at 2 if I'm sitting at 2. You know, that's pretty much the only 2 options I'm looking at that point. I don't consider Hampton at that point yet, and the reason I say I don't consider Hampton at that point is if they knew they were going to be Bell Cowan a back, they wouldn't have signed Najee and then drafted him. They would have just signed another type of back, like maybe a Javonte Williams, and had a guy, and then drafted Omarion Hampton and had that bell cow setup. Like bringing in Najee like they did tells me that they still want to run like a 2-back system, very much to like what they've been running in Baltimore when Roman was there with both those backs. Who did they have over there? I'm throwing a blank on the 2 guys, but they ran a dual-back system in Baltimore forever. It was first was they had Dobbins Edwards at one point. They had a 2-back system pretty much the whole time. So that's what I anticipate they're going to do with Hampton. So for me, that drops him behind those other 2 players.
Okay, agree. All right. Now I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Everyone saw this happen. It was all over, just crazy. But Shedeur making the big slide, and to me, the more I dug into it, and you know, for me, people on Twitter and people that would come out and say, oh, you know, he's not this, he's not that, he's not a good player, you know, he doesn't do this. I mean, I think it's kind of lazy analysis. You got to really look at the tape and really look at the way this kid played. He definitely has really good talent. I mean, yeah, he has some of his flaws like everybody else does. But the more I dug into it, it's basically the way I look at it is this. Anybody who gets married to their wives, you're also going to marry the mother-in-law. And basically that's what this came down to is these organizations figure, do we want to bring Shedeur in and have to deal with Dion, bitching about the play calling, working out his contract, trying,
exactly. That's the biggest part is being his agent and having to deal with him as a negotiation on contracts. Exactly. That's, I think, really the number one thing that turned off a lot of these teams. You know,
so he was a detriment to his son. It didn't help too that the kid was wearing, flashy.
Yeah, that his attitude. Those are the 2 things that I've been hearing everybody saying is like dealing with the Dion aspect and what he did and does, and just in general who he is, and then having Shedeur come into these meetings and act like his shit don't stink.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at it, Colorado was a dumpster fire until he got there. So he's a good quarterback. I've watched hours and hours of film on him and against good teams and bad teams. And, he's definitely a good quarterback. He has flaws, but it's the whole Dion factor that teams just didn't want to freaking deal with. And I don't blame them. So, when
your dad is Dion and you have an attitude, like it scares the shit out of people, man. Because everybody remembers how Dion was when it came time for contracts. He bounced around from team to team. He was always a headache towards the end of his tenure with each team, going over contract issues and, talking. He was kind of like a TO, but just not quite to that extent. He was always having issues and hooting and hollering and causing media problems and just being Dion, which it was kind of, accepted at that time, that's Dion, that's Dion. But, now they're like,
and if you look at Dion's career and how Dion's career, obviously it's a Hall of Fame career, but how he handled his career is he started off on a shitty team with the Falcons. And once he was established, then he goes out, he goes to the Niners, and then from the Niners goes to the Cowboys. So these teams might be thinking, yeah, we'll draft Shador, but if we don't pay him what he wants to get paid, he's going to leave. So
Exactly.
why are we going to invest all this time and money and all this on a guy who may not stay here? So, I mean, the
Especially
Browns
the
were the last.
quarterback needing teams right now. You've got the Giants who are already dealing with like media melee from how bad the fallout is from the Hard Knocks season that they did. You know, they've had nothing but headaches since that point. You got Cleveland, who's had the Deshaun Watson disaster hanging over their head.
That's why I'm surprised they took him.
You know, there's so many teams that, like, the ones that needed quarterbacks were already in like purgatory. You've got the Saints dealing with the Mickey Loomis having a horrible cap space issues and like being in the tire fire situation they're in with Derek Carr. So like every single team that needed a quarterback couldn't take on an extra fucking headache. They already hadn't created enough headaches that they're still currently dealing with.
Yep. What about you, Jimmy? What's your take on this whole Shador Sanders situation?
I think if his name would have been anything other than what it was, I don't think it would have happened the way it happened. But you can go, just turn it right around and look at the Mason Taylor thing, where it was a total opposite of what happened, just with the demeanor of a whole different family. Okay, so humble, work ethic.
Not even one family, but two. I mean, that's son of two Hall of Famers.
So what I'm saying is,
son, but you know what I'm saying.
Family, dad, been in the NFL. You can take both of those two and look at them and say the contrast is pretty much tells the story of a father and a son player. I think Dion handled it wrong all the way through. I think he may have even made it difficult at times for these guys that went out and did the workouts out there in Colorado. And I just think that the arrogance didn't set well with the NFL, number one. And I think these owners just don't want the trash exposed. And I think it just came down to, at the end of the day, why they took Dylan ahead. I think the coaches, the coaching staff, and the scouts had it all set to take Dylan, and it was over. And I don't think that they had any plans, but I think the ownership, Haslam came in and said, look, take him at this point.
I think you're right. I think by the fifth round, I think they were forced to do what they had to do. But that was basically.
I don't think the coaching staff or the scouts wanted to do it, to be honest with you. I think it came from ownership at the end there to just take him and get it over with. But
I don't think they wanted to add him. Otherwise, they would have done it sooner, and they wouldn't have done a second quarterback earlier if they knew they were going to get him. So it doesn't make sense to me that they took both of them without it being like a shit. He's still here. We have no choice now. Yeah. The owner might have came in and said, if he's still there by this certain pick, you better do what you need to do to trade up if you still want a job tomorrow. That kind of a thing.
The big one that everybody about the slide down and this and that, I really can't believe all the picks that the Raiders didn't take him with a relationship that they say Brady had with Shador and with Dion. I was really surprised. Not that I wanted.
Brady seems like the type of person that a lot of people have a great relationship with. Brady doesn't.
I really did, but every pick that came up, I thought they were going to do it.
I think the perfect situation would have been him to get drafted by the Raiders, where he could sit a year or two behind the quarterback, learn the NFL, learn that, hey, you're not the brightest star in the NFL. There's a lot of guys that, are way ahead of you. You need to be humble and sit back and learn the business and aspects of the NFL and so I don't think that, even though the Browns did awesome by trading with the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think they were a disaster when they went and took Gabriel before Sanders, because Sanders is going to beat out Gabriel in training camp. I mean, he's a better. So it looked horrible by taking Gabriel and then taking Sanders. So it looked awful. So
hey, come on now. We all know why Andrew Berry's still in that room. So, because he'll do whatever Jimmy says, and Jimmy came in and said, take Sanders, and they said, okay, sir, whatever you say.
Yep.
Yeah, so anyways, but all right, well, that's our take on Shador. And then a couple things I want to go through. So one thing about the tight ends. So obviously we have the big two. I noticed, I already gave my take on Colson Loveland. I'm noticing in drafts that they're going. It's funny because I'm noticing in our rookie drafts, Warren's always going before Loveland, But then you go to the talking heads, you know, out on these podcasts and TV shows, and quite a few of them have Loveland before Ty Warren. So I want to get my panel's take on, you know, on those two tight ends, and I'll start with Clem.
I mean, I really don't want to talk about this in fear of it swapping everybody's opinions throughout our Ballsville drafts that are upcoming. But I still have Loveland potentially ahead of Warren, mainly because of the quarterback scenario that he's in. I know there's a lot more mouths to feed in that offense, but I also think there's a quarterback that can feed more mouths in that offense. So I definitely think that the Loveland over Warren is warranted, you know, pun intended.
Yeah, no doubt. What about you, Jimmy?
I think the Warren thing is a lot better landing spot for Warren. I think it's a lot better landing spot for fantasy owners versus Loveland.
You think Daniel Jones and AR are going to be able to get him the ball enough to make it that much more valuable?
Well, if you look at what Daniel Jones did throwing to his tight ends when he was at the Giants, I would say yes. I just think Warren's going to see a lot more catches, especially with a wide receiver group that's at Indy. I think Warren's going to play a bigger role in the offense than having Loveland and Kmet, because I don't think Kmet's going anywhere. I think they're going to run a lot of two tight end. And with all the other players, especially if Daniel Jones is the starter, he's not going to run as much as Caleb. I think Caleb's more of a movement quarterback. I think Jones stays in the pocket a little bit more. I think Jones is a better running quarterback, but what I'm trying to say is I honestly think that Warren is going to see, you know, more catches and be involved in the offense more than Loveland.
All right, I got something for you guys.
I seen you looking at your screen, and I seen the lights flickering, telling me you was looking for some sort of stat.
So I'm thinking a lot more of the Bears. The Bears are plus 160 to make the playoffs. What do you guys think about plus 160 to make the playoffs? I'm thinking when we go to Vegas, I want to put a bet on the Bears winning the division. I'll have to find out what the odds are there real quick. Winning the division, I want to put some money down on that. I want to put some money down on them making the playoffs. And then let me see what regular season wins are. Let's see. Plus money is plus 105 over 8.5. You think they can win 9 games?
Chicago should win 9 games, yeah.
I mean, they got a tough division. It's not like their division's an easy one to deal with.
That's the only downfall, is that division. And I'm thinking if they make the playoffs, they're probably going to have to make it, I'd say maybe as a wild card. I mean, they could win that division.
Oh, it has to be as a wild card. They're not going to be able to win that division. Are you kidding? They're going to beat out the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings to take that division.
The Vikings aren't going to – I think the Vikings are going to take a little bit of a step back. I don't think they're going to beat –
either. I don't think at all. I mean, they're going up a grade or a tier in quarterback at minimum. I mean, I think JJ is going to be better than Darnold.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Okay.
Still a rookie. It's his rookie season.
I'm just saying. I think that. You want to make a pub sub bet on Minnesota
He's got to have a Jaden Daniels season for them to make the playoffs.
Do you want to make a pub sub bet on Minnesota over Chicago in that division? Since you owe me a pub sub now.
How about if Minnesota makes the playoffs?
No, I don't want Minnesota above Chicago. If Chicago's going to make the playoffs, then that's going to win that bet for you anyways, right? So what's the difference?
Not necessarily. Minnesota could win the division and Chicago could make the playoffs.
Okay, I guess whatever.
Come in second.
Minnesota making the playoffs. That's different though, because I think that they both could be shitty in their divisions and not make the playoffs, and I lose because of default basically.
All right, let's see about. Okay, let's look at the division odds. Okay, so right now the Chicago Bears to come in second in the division, plus 300, plus 350. Coming in fourth is plus 155. Let's see what the Vikings are. So we said Bears. What do we say? Bears, plus 155, plus 350 to come in second. So look, where's Minnesota? Minnesota is plus 225 to come in fourth, plus 250 to come in second. So it's not too bad, not too far.
All right, fine. You know what? I'll go with my face
Bears
cousin.
are only.
I will take that pub sub bet of Minnesota making the playoffs because I have faith in my quarterback guru.
Minnesota making the playoffs.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'll take the pub sub that you now owe me from
I know,
Tech drafted over Golden, and we will utilize that pub sub as a double or nothing.
All right,
to go after this Minnesota for the playoffs. That way we can play the skull horn all year long again.
All right, so Minnesota does not make the playoff. That's our bet.
Yes, you say Minnesota does not make the playoffs. I say that my face cousin will definitely get them to the playoffs.
My face cousin. All right, we're gonna have some interesting bets when we go out to Vegas for sure. Okay, let's. I know, Jimmy, you had some stats. You want to give some stats on the two Iowa State receivers that both went to Houston? I know that they both get to play together in Houston there. So I know you said you had some information on.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at these guys, you know what Houston did. Houston was needing offensive line, defensive line, and for whatever reason, they jumped out of it. And they traded back with the Giants. They traded their first round 25th for the second round, moved back into the second round. And then what they did on these receivers is they ended up taking him, Higgins, in the second at the 34th pick. And if you look at what they did with their running back, they traded around to get him. They went after these guys. So they were seeking these guys out. And if you look at the production of the two receivers, I mean, they both were over 1,100 yards in receiving up there. I mean, Higgins had 87 receptions, 1,183 yards, and 9 TDs. Noel had 80 receptions, 1,194 yards, and 8 TDs. And then the running back that they went and got, Woody Marks, that cat ran for, carried the rock for 198 carries, had 1,133 yards and 9 TDs. And they traded around with him too. So they spent a lot of capital playing around. They actually gained a pick. So what I'm saying is, if you look at the draft time that they spent, they sought these guys out. And right. I just, you know, they got the comps on this Noel kid. They got a comp on him as the same as Amon St. Brown.
Yeah, that's pretty.
You know, he's a kick returner. He had 13 returns for 200 yards, averaged 15 yards on a return. He's got 4.3 speed. Higgins has got 4.4 speed, and he's 6'4". I don't see Christian Kirk hanging around as a number 2 very long. I honestly think, you know, Kirk's going to run the slot, and you put Nico and you put Higgins on the outside. You know, I really think they did their offense some pretty good things. From a fantasy standpoint, you know, I think the Giants had a better draft if you're going to include the defensive moves they made. But if we're just looking at offensive players, I honestly think that they definitely upped their game because, you know, Mixon's not getting any younger. And this guy that they picked up for running back, you know, he spent 4 years at Mississippi State and then went to USC. He's 5 years. He's a little older. He's 24 years old. But yeah, if you look at the total yards that those three cats had their senior season, they had 3,500 yards between the three of them and had 26 TDs between the three of them.
Gotcha.
That's production.
Yep. So awesome take. And basically it comes down to what? Go ahead and invest in CJ Stroud. So find the owner that's not paying attention and who's low on CJ Stroud and go make a trade for CJ Stroud.
I just think they know Dell's not coming back and they had to fill the void. And, you know, they didn't have that speed. They lost with Dell. They got it with Noel. They gained an outside receiver, plus with Noel, they got the kick return. That fills the void with what Dell was doing, the punt returns and stuff. So just like taking an offensive tackle, they went out and they sought these guys for a reason. And I think that's what they did. They went and got them.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, that's a good take. So, all right, we're going to get to the point of our show before we take off for the day or the night. We are giving something away like we always do. So what are we doing, Sean?
We are doing a big game giveaway. So whoever's going to win this drawing is going to get an entry into our big game, which is our $7 best ball game. Basically, if you were involved in the mini game, you understand this game. It's the same thing, just a little bit bigger of a pot. So, and it actually lasts a few weeks longer in the season.
And these are 10-man. These are 10-man, not 12.
Yes, thank you, Jimbo. These are 10-man, not 12. Thank you.
Yeah, these are 10-man, and they're $7 a pop. And the way that it plays out at the end, the payouts are amazing. So,
yeah, it's a lot of fun, guys. This is our main game. This is our flagship. So definitely looking forward to this kicking off. Right now, we currently have 15 people entered in, and we have 14 in the currently live room right now. So this is actually working out really good. I'll go ahead and get this thing started. What do you guys say, huh?
Let's roll.
sure.
All right, let's do this. I am going to look for the drum roll because I want to make sure that we have some good sound effects. And since I don't have Sarah here, I'm doing this on my own. So here we go. Drum roll.
Did I see Alex's face in there? It's Alex.
Short Stack. He is our winner. Congratulations,
Right.
Short Stack. You have our first free entry. No, this is not our first free entry. This is our second giveaway for the big game, if I'm not mistaken. So our second giveaway entry for our big game. Congratulations, Short Stack. You are the man.
I like the Waffle House thing. That's cool.
Yes. Waffle House is so good. Yes, it is. So, all right. Well, that wraps it up for another episode of the Ballsville podcast. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. That helps out a lot. Please go to theballsvillegame.com for your fantasy needs. And for my co-host, Trader Clem, for Jimbo Bimbo Big Brother, I am Run the Hurry Up on Sleeper. And until next week, folks, we are out.
See you guys later.